Hey everyone, this is Knorrod, and today I wanted to bring you another deck profile for Draco Tale. This time a pure version, completely pure, no little branded package in it, just to show you what I'm on right now. After this, I'll probably just keep it for like actual variants. For example, when we get Spoon at some point, I will make a deck profile for that. But I wanted to just show you a clean version of the deck. Now, obviously, Jesse Cotton has topped YCS Vancouver with pure Draco Tale, and I think his list is the blueprint. I just made a small little change in my version because I wanted something different, and I'll get to that change later. So let's start with the main deck. And obviously, we wanted to talk about the 3 Lucias, 3 Mululu, and 3 Femina. This is pretty standard, should be standard, should stay standard. That's just good names. Mululu is just a good graveyard effect, and in a pinch is a starter, so I think we have to talk about that a lot. For the other names, I am on 2 Urgula 2-pan. Now Jesse was on 3-1, which I also think is very good. I just like the grave effect of Urgula and having the once per turns. So in some cases you just open one of these, like you open Urgula, you use it, but you still have one in your deck, for example, or whatever. So 2-2 was really nice, and you can switch it to 3-1 if you like. I would never play 3 Urgula 1-pan, I think, though. And then for the spells, obviously 3 and 3. Josh actually talked about sometimes siding one of them because I think Jesse also mentioned it, because like this card sometimes is glued to my hand. Like I open like a Rahu and I set another Rahu and like, okay, I'm just going to use the set one, I guess, but keep the one in hand. It's not a monster, so it's annoying, but you want to have these, right? So. And then 2 traps. I actually considered briefly to just play another trap just to have more of them, but maybe a side one, I don't know. Once we get Sting, we can think about that. So that's it for the Dracotail cards. I just ran through them because there's not much to say about them. I am on 3 Cartesia, and Jesse was on 2, which in his version made sense. But he had 3 hand traps here, and in my list I played the 3rd Cartesia instead, and I played the Light End Sublimation Dragon and the Dark End Evaporation Dragon. Now what these do is, let's start with this. Both of them have the same effect at the beginning, and that is you can special summon them by banishing a level 8 Fusion Dragon from your extra deck, and once you do that, you are locked into dragons for the rest of the turn. And then they have another effect, which is once per turn, Dark End can either destroy a monster in attack position, and then this loses 500 attack, or can do a fusion summon. So this has the same summoning condition, so you banish one and you're locked into dragons, and this also has the fusion effect, but the other effect is a bit worse, and that is if your opponent attacks, you can make this card lose 500 to make that opponent's monster lose 1500. So the second effect is not that relevant. This is definitely a worse version of this. I just wanted to play 1-1 because I wanted to diversify the once per turns, right? Because 2 Dark End Evaporation Dragon don't do anything, whereas if you open both of these, you can just summon both, make seals in a pinch, or like do a fusion or whatever. And sometimes if you do one of the lines with those, you will make seals, and if you get nipped on that seals, you have the option to summon the other dragon and then use that fusion effect. So I thought that was pretty nice to have like the 2 different names. And the thing is, the pop is good, but if you do the pop, then you cannot fuse with it, so it's rarely that you actually want the pop. So the comparison to Jesse's list is obviously he had 3 hand traps here. I just played 3 more ways to fuse here just because I valued consistency at the level that I play. If you're playing in the YCS like Jesse, you're playing a lot of VS K9, obviously, that tournament was packed with it. Then you really want more hand traps just to stop them from playing, right? So if you're playing like a big tournament, definitely go with Jesse's list, but so far I like this just to have the consistency. For the non-engine, we still have 14 non-engine and then the 3 Femina, so we go to 17, which is still nice. We have 3 Nibiru, best hand trap in the deck by far. I cannot stress this enough. This is so good. Nobody can like go through your board if you have a Nibiru. They can't do anything. And sometimes you just Nibiru them, and then you just horn bounce it back, and their next push is also already cared for. So incredible hand trap here. Pairs super well with 5 mana. Fuvalos, obviously you Fuvalos them, you draw into 5 mana, you win. Ash Blossom, the worst hand trap in the deck. Don't ask me why. It's just not good. But you kind of like, there's not that many hand traps that are good. 2 Ogre, just because of space. The next one is should be a Purulia, but I don't own Purulia, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to play Phantasma here. And actually, this card was great. It's really good against Yami, because they always summon a Link monster, right? On your turn, on their turn. So you get your draws. So in that case, like Purulia against Yami, sometimes they give you 0 draws. They just go Obedience School, make the full board, you don't do anything. This card gets you targeting protection for the Book of Moon or for the bounce, which is nice. So you can summon this, even if you don't draw any hand traps, this already checks the Book of Moon and can try to attack over the Herald. So that's already doing a lot here. But also just like fixes your hand. The nice thing about the hand fixing is you can put traps back into it, you can put extra Rahus back. It's so nice. And now for the best part, this is a level 7 Dark Dragon. So I'll just put this on the side, and like Dragon obviously matters, but the rest I'll show you later why this is so important. I'll just keep it here and references once we get to that point. So let's move into the extra deck. We obviously have 3 Arthalion. This is our main monster. I wouldn't go down on this unless I play like a combo variant of it. Like some Magistus lists in the OCG only play 2 because the Magistus engine eats a lot of the extra deck. But I like 3 right now. We have 2 Guramel. The second one is definitely cuttable. Right now it's just in here. In this version definitely. If some other versions like the Canine, like the version with Izuna, probably wants to play 2 for sure, because you will cut down on other fusion targets. But this variant right here has so many different dragons that you can fuse into that you sometimes just don't need the second Gulamel. But I had the space, so just put this in. And then we have the Secretarian and the Mysterion. In this version with the level 8 dragons, this Secretarian sometimes comes up just in your combo. So I considered upping this to 2, but so far I was fine with 1. And then we have the Link package, which I think every deck should play. It's just the Seals variant plus SP. SP is nice removal, and the Cross Sheep is also kind of there. It's a really good card. It's not mandatory, but it's really nice just for the grind game. And now for the other extra deck slots. First of all, Philia Regis. This card is so good if you can summon it. Summoning it might be hard, but this is where, for example, the Phantasma comes in play. So this needs a Dragon Fusion monster. That part is easy. That's Arthalion that just randomly is on the board. Plus 1 level 7 or higher Dragon monster. So the second part is a bit tougher, but you could, for example, take a Secretarian. Usually you don't do that. You can take a second Arthalion. That works. Just fuse 2 Arthalions. You can take Pan. So Dracotail Pan is the only Dracotail that is level 7. You can use that, and then you even get to pop, and you can use these 2 to make this. So in this version we have so many ways, especially with the main deck Phantasma, to make this. And then this card is during the main phase, quick effect, target 1 card your opponent controls or in their graveyard, banish it. And if you banish the card from the field, then you have to bounce a dragon monster on your side on the field. So if you have no other dragons than herself, she has to bounce herself. Not that great because she was expensive to make, but you can bounce a random Arthalion, even if it came from the grave. You can bounce this because this is part of the effect. Now the Arthalion will not go to the extra deck, obviously, because if it leaves the field, it gets banished. But still, you keep the Philia Regis. If the Arthalion didn't come from the grave, you recycle it. That's nice. Another cool thing you can do is if you have a Mululu on board, you can go chaining 1 Mululu, and then chaining 2 you go Philia Regis, banish something from your opponent, bounce the Mululu, and now the Mululu still resolves and you can fuse it from hand, and now you have 1 more counter basically on your Arthalion to add something back. So that's a free bounce that even pluses you. So that's a good bounce target. And then the best bounce target against Yami, it's so funny. You can bounce the Phantasme. Like you have you Phantasmate them, right? You drew your cards, and then you somehow make Filia Regis at some point in the combo. You banish something from them, and you bounce back your Phantasme. And next turn, when they summon Snatchy, you just Phantasmate them again. It's so cool. Really neat play, but in general, like this is the greediest thing you could do with Filia Regis. She's good on her own besides that interaction. But just another thing where Phantasme is nice. All right. Next up, we have the Chaos Star Source Dragon. Again, this as material needs a light and dark or dark dragon monster plus any dragon monster. And if this card gets fusion summoned, you can pop cards on the field up to the number of light and dark monsters used as material for this. Now, in general versions of Draco Tale, your only light or dark dragon is either like extra dragon monsters like Secretarian or Seals or the Spirit or Mululu, right? But in this version, you have the other two dragons, which are light and dark. So you can, like, for example, fuse these two or use like this effect to fuse with the Mululu and you pop two, for example. And this is also like a level 8 dragon, so this sometimes is a banished target for those if you don't need it. And once again, Phantasme is a dark dragon, so it works with this. You can fuse Phantasme into this, get an extra pop with it. So that's nice for more removal. And then for the other extra deck slots, we're getting to the luxury now. But if you play this package, Hope Harbinger is pretty nice. These lock you into dragons, so you need a rank 8 dragon. But this card is actually perfect for this deck because this is a spell negate, and generally this deck interacts very well with monsters, but for spells you only have the Horn, and the Horn is a bit fragile because they can droplet their target away, they can ogre, they can bell it, they can ash it. So having this is extra insurance against spells, especially for the droplet interaction. So what you against Yami, generally Yami's best way to play into this board, like the only time I actually feel really threatened by Yami is if they have obedience. So generally if they obedience school and you chain Horn on that, they can ash it, they can droplet it, they can bell it. That's 9 cards already that would solve it. Or they can have another obedience school, right? But if you have this and the Horn, you can go and negate the obedience school to this. If they then chain droplet, generally they can't send a trap, you can negate the droplet with the Director Flame, I mean. So you have that covered. If they activate obedience schooled and you negate it with this, they can't bell this, they can't ash this, so that's that. So this helps definitely stopping that push and generally against other decks that activate spells a lot. So it's a nice card for that. And last slot, this should probably be something else, like you can make Borrowed Furious Dragon in this deck, but I just wanted to stick it to some Crystron players, so I just played this. Worked, took away SP and Infinity and ran over the Izuna, so that's nice. And that is it for the extra and the main. Now we go to the side deck, and you can already see the Fenrir. This is our going first side in. It's pretty nice for siding into Fuwa, like you side out Fuwa because you don't use that going first most of the time. Just put in Fenrir, protects you from K9, is decent against Holisu, and is good against the Yami. So it's just a very versatile card, pluses you. So that's nice. Then we have the turn skips, Lancia and Droll. I haven't seen Malice in a while, so you can actually consider cutting it. But once you cut this, you know your next match is going to be against Malice. And then Droll is just against some combo decks. Then Bell. This card is really good. It's borderline mainable. Triff, for example, mains it. And Yami, obviously, he has more hand traps in space in the main, but this is obviously the best side in here for the mirror, because the logic about the mirror, just like going on a tangent here, is whoever resolves more spells is in a better spot than the other one, and generally you can ash the spells, but then the Draco Tale flame can negate one of your spells, right? So you want to keep the ash for the spells, but so you can't ash the flame. Now you can actually ash the spells and keep this for the flame, and then your spells will go through. And generally just very, very good for the mirror. And then the last slot, this should be Perulia, but I just put in Dark Ruler. It's fine, generally, but this not being a monster is sometimes very annoying. Generally, I think mathematically it's fine. You won't have like many situations where this will cost you, but it can happen. So if you have Perulia, that's probably the best side in here. So that's it for the deck. Let me show you what the big dragons can do. Alright, let's show you the combo with the Dark and Evaporation Dragon, or the Light Dragon, doesn't matter which one. And with that, you need this card and any of these three names. Now, any Dracotail name will combo with this, but this is the best combo, and I wanted to show you the full combo here. Now, another thing about this line is this beats Retaliating Sea. I'll show you this right after I do the uninterrupted combo, so stay tuned for that. But let's just start with a Lucius here and put these two back. So we have Lucius and Dark and Evaporation. Now, if you start Lucius, you obviously want to first summon the Lucius, see if it resolves, and if you can grab your 5 mana. Now, let's say it does. Now we have more flexible with our plays because we have 5 mana in hand, and we'll continue by using the Evaporation Dragon, summon it onto the field, and now we are dragon locked. No big deal. We use the Evaporation Dragon, fuse these two. If you have another name than 5 mana in hand, try to use that, because then you keep the 5 mana in hand for more flexibility. For example, if your Artharion gets impermed, right? But let's just take the Artharion out. Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2. The 5 mana will set you Kitu, and the Artharion gets you these two back. Now, there's 3 summons, so you can still be chill here and go Kitu first, and grab yourself whatever piece from the 3 names you don't have yet. In this case, it's Urgula. And after you resolve the Kitu, this is just because you want to play around Retaliating Sea. After you resolve the Kitu, now you are free to go and link these two off into seals, because from now on there is no Retaliating Sea point for your opponent anymore. So what you'll do next is you are going to use 5 mana, and you fuse these two here into a Secretarian Dragon. You could trigger the Arthalion here if you want to play around Imperm on the Secretarian, but if they had Imperm, they would have used it on Arthalion. So we keep the Arthalion engraved, but we'll trigger both Urgula and the Lucius to get our traps out, and then we can go and activate the Urgula, grab back the 5 mana, and then we can use the Secretarian Dragon. We can only summon dragons here, be aware of that. So you can still target the Lucius, but the only summon you have is the dragon that you use. We want to use the Evaporation Dragon here, not the Arthalion. You could also summon this, it would also end on the same board, but in case your opponent nibs you here or after, like in end of main phase, you want to have the Arthalion engraved to bring it back so you have more material. So if these are back, you can overlay them and make the Hope Harbinger. And now what you end on is you have the seals, you have the Hope Harbinger, you have both the traps, and you have the Arthalion in the grave, and 5 mana in hand, plus hopefully 3 non-engine that actually do something and they are not Fuwalos. Now, if your opponent nibs here, both of these go away, you get a nib token, and that'll trigger your seals, but also your Arthalion. So you can bring both back, the Arthalion, and then the seals can bring you the Mululu. Or what you can also, if they, for example, nib you before the Hope Harbinger, you can bring out the Sublimation Dragon. If you have any line that is good that would fuse, you can bring out this, or you could, if they nibbed you before, you can overlay these two for rank 8. If they nib before the Hope Harbinger, that's all possible. But if you have this particular hand, you just want the Mululu here. But let's just rewind it a bit just so you can look at the end board again. And that is this. So this is the combo. Pretty decent, pretty nice, because now we have 2 spell negates, which is nice if you play against Yummy, and you still have the bounce and a 5 mana. But let's look at the Retaliating Sea line. Alright, same line, but this time our opponent has a Retaliating Sea. So let's see how this plays out. Again, we start by summoning Lucius, grabbing 5 mana. We go summon the dragon. I just took the light end just to show you. It does the same thing here. And now you activate the light end. You fuse 2. You make Arthalion. You get your spell. You bounce these back. Now, this is why we don't do seals here, and we check with K2 first. The only opportunity for them to use Retaliating Sea, because this line does not have Rahu, is for the K2. Now, usually our opponent shouldn't know this line because it's the random light end sublimation dragon. But if they know this is the only, like, because you're dragon locked due to this, if they know, okay, this is the only chance I get to Retaliating Sea them, I'm going to do it now, and they summon the Retaliating Sea. You can now, with the K2, do a bit of sidestepping. So you don't get Urgula here. Instead, what you'll get is Pan. Why is that? Because now your opponent has a monster on the field. So the Pan can actually be fused due to the K2 with, in this case, your Arthalion. So you fuse these 2 away. Go into Philia Regis. Now, these are all banished. Your Pan does not have any grave trigger. It's sad, but you'll live. And what you can do now is activate Philia Regis effect, banish the Retaliating Sea, and bounce a dragon monster. Okay, we just bounce our light end sublimation dragon. And now the Retaliating Sea is gone. And what you can do is you can still use your 5 mana. And we have a spellcaster, and we have a dragon. Right, we bounced it back. Let's just use it. Go into a Secretarian, and the Lucius will set you a trap of your choice. Let's just go with the flame. And Secretarian Dragon can now target these 2. And you summon back the Sublimation Dragon, putting back the Lucius. And now you have this. And you can choose whether you want to go into seals or overlay these 2 into Hope Harbinger. What I like to do is go seals here, because what is nice about the Philia Regis is with the seals, first interruption should be the seals. So any point you go seals, bounce, seals effect, grab Mululu, and now you just have more lines, because one thing you could do, for example, is if you want to use Mululu first, you can go Mululu effect. And if you have a Philia Regis target, you go chaining 1 Mululu, chaining 2 Philia. Philia banishes something on the field, bounces the Mululu, and then the Mululu can fuse. And because it's in your hand, you can now fuse it from the hand. And you have 1 more add back of the Arthalion. So it's just a neat little play. Obviously, if you want to layer your interruptions differently, you don't have to, but it's a free +1 that you should keep in mind. And then you have the Flame, which in this scenario, try to get back one of the Arthalions that is banished. And you have successfully played through Retaliating Sea. With what you've lost basically is instead of Hope Harbinger, you have Philia Regis, which is interchangeable. This is pretty good. You don't have the 5 mana in hand because you didn't go into Urgula, so keep that in mind. That's a bit annoying, but I think that is fine. And lastly, you have the Draco Tale Flame set still, and 3 cards in hand. Plus your opponent has 1 card less in hand, so I think if you know this line, then you'll trade pretty nicely into Retaliating Sea. So that is it for the deck profile and the short little combo guide, and I'll see you next time.